Hey guys, welcome back to SCG Collects. I'm Annie. Welcome back, guys. And I guess I should say welcome back to myself. As most of you probably know, I mentioned in at least one of the previous videos in the last 3 weeks, I've been on vacation. I actually got back last week, but I did not have any videos pre-recorded. I was actually kind of worn out from my trip, so I didn't really want to sit down and try to record anything last weekend. So I figured I'd hold off, kind of take a week off, come back fully refreshed, fully, prepared and ready to start putting out videos again. So here we are. That's what I'm doing. So I do want to talk a little bit about my trip. As the title of the video says, I unfortunately was not able to really pick up any figures or anything on the trip. But that doesn't mean there's not some stuff I'd like to talk about. And that also doesn't mean that there's no figures in this video. I did have some figures come in while I was gone. And I know in the October haul video that came out while I was away, I mentioned in there that anything that came in during the second half of October, I'd probably hold and just share with you guys as part of the November haul video at the end of this month. But November's looking pretty stacked, so I figured, why not go ahead and share these other October figures in this video. So that'll probably be kind of like the second half of the video. So if you stick around, there will be some figures in here, I promise you guys. It's not just going to be me talking about my vacation or anything like that, because, first and foremost, this is a figure channel. But also, if you don't want to hear me talk about my vacation, and I totally understand if you don't, you can definitely skip ahead and just check out the figures I'll be talking about. So, my vacation. So, I don't think I mentioned in any of the videos that I pre-recorded before I left and that came out while I was gone, where exactly I was going, what I was doing, any of that stuff. So, I actually had the opportunity to travel to Europe for a couple of weeks. This was actually my first time out of the country. And only like my third time on an airplane ever. So it was kind of a big deal. The main part of the trip, first half of the trip, was to be able to visit some of my boyfriend's family that lives over there in England. And then the second half of the trip, traveling by train to Germany, spending a few nights out there, coming back to England, stopping for an overnight in Paris, and then returning to England for another night or a couple nights, and then flying back home. Being Europe, and not someplace like Japan, not exactly the center of figure purchasing places. That's not to say I didn't have the intention of trying to buy something on the trip. Before we went, we researched different places to go, and we found, at least within London, there seemed to be one or a couple stores that sort of focused on anime, manga, Japanese culture, that type of stuff, action figures, all those things. There was one of the days we were in London, that we tried to go to the store, and we did go to the store, and they did have figures. A lot of it was prize figures, and one of the real, hurdles with being able to even really think about purchasing a figure on vacation is, how am I going to bring this back? A lot of figures, especially scale figures, don't necessarily come in small packaging, and we only brought so much luggage, and we were not wanting to pay for extra checked bags and those kinds of things to fly home with. So that was definitely a restriction that I had. And then also too, the price. So obviously we all know scale figures are rather pricey these days. And, just the vacation itself was not a cheap thing. So that and the space issue, kind of got me thinking along the lines of like, well, I'll buy a prize figure anyway. So The store we went to in London, actually in the Camden Market, they did have quite a few prize figures. There were quite a few things in there that I was interested in. I would have loved to have added to my collection, even with them being prize figures. But before making any of the purchases, I did do like quick research on my phone what these prize figures were going for if, say, I bought them new on Solaris, or like if they were still available new from AmiAmi, or if they were even listed like pre-owned somewhere on AmiAmi, or people on my figure collection were selling them. And in most cases, even with what it would cost to like ship the item and everything if I ordered it online, they were basically cheaper to buy online than to pick up in the store. So I ended up saving my money, especially because this was kind of early in the trip. Like, we still had the whole second half of Germany and Paris and all these things. So I ended up deciding to save my money. Didn't get anything. A little bit sad because I would have loved to have been able to say like, oh my gosh, like here's this figure, and yeah, sure, it's like an everyday figure, but I got it when I was in Europe. Or when I was in England, but that didn't happen. That was kind of the first opportunity I had to be able to pick something up. And then the other opportunity, so when we were in Germany, we stayed in a small town called, and even after hearing people pronounce it, I'm going to say this so wrong, but it's called Karlsruhe. We stayed there, I think it was 4 days. And one of the days we were just kind of walking around. It was in the evening, so things were starting to close. But I realized we were walking past like some kind of action figure, anime figure, maybe video game store. All I know is that they had figures in the window, and I was so excited. Now, unfortunately, like I said, stores were closing. This one was closing, or was closed. So we were not able to go in that evening. But we decided we'd go the next day. We did not realize was the next day was November 1st. And for those of you who, you know, maybe are not very religious or things like that, November 1st is what's called All Saints Day. We didn't realize that in Germany, or at least in this town we were in, observes All Saints Day. So the touristy stuff that we wanted to do, like museum or whatever it was we did that day, for some reason was still open. The shops were not. And this also happened to be our last day in Germany. Like, the next day we were getting on a train and making our way back to Paris. So I didn't get to go to the German store, and yeah, that was like my last chance to be able to buy a figure. So kind of disappointing. I was so excited because since Germany was further along in the trip, we really only had one more stop. I knew a little bit more financially, like how much I had spent, how much more I was maybe going to spend in the last few days of the trip. Maybe would have felt more comfortable at that point actually buying something, but it didn't work out. So in terms of figure buying, figure collecting, the trip was a bust, but that wasn't the purpose of the trip. So all in all, oh well. The one exciting piece though from the trip, and you know, this is kind of related. I mean, it's not a figure, but it is anime. Over the summer, before this trip, I had happened across a tattoo artist on Instagram, and I was looking through her page, and I really liked her art style, and I realized that she was in the UK. And not only was she in the UK, her books were going to be opening in a few weeks. And not only were her books opening in a few weeks in the summer, they were opening to schedule for the time period that included the time that I was going to be in the UK. And I was able to get a tattoo from this artist. So her name is Jessica. She is at a tattoo studio in the town of Haverhill. England or UK, Legacy Tattoo. And I'll put links down below for like her Instagram and the tattoo shop's Instagram, because I think those are their main uh, sites or whatever. It just worked out so perfectly, and she just perfectly captured exactly what I wanted. For years now, I've known that I wanted some kind of like lucky cat uh, statue on one of my thighs. But then after seeing her artwork, seeing the anime girl she does, I was like, wait a minute. What if she does a lucky cat, like cat girl? So I'll put some pictures up on the screen of the finished product. It was 8 hours of just laying on the table, and I mean I had some breaks of course, but like it's the longest I've ever been tattooed. But it was one day or nothing. Like, and I had said that in my message to her. I'm only in England even for this long. I really cannot come back for a second session. Like, what can we do? And she nailed it. She told me she could do it in one session. She did it in one session. I made it through the session somehow. It somehow healed up, even though I walked all over England and Germany and Paris after that. Like, somehow it's still healed, totally fine, so beautiful. I'm so happy I did it, and I'm so happy to have my very own cat girl that I get to just have on me, on my body forever. It's so great. First anime tattoo, so very exciting. And I figured I'd share that with you guys because, like I said, it is anime, so it's kind of related. So, yes. All right, enough about my trip. As exciting as it was, as much as I did, like I said, I was gone for 2 weeks. This is not my travel blog, so I do apologize for rambling on for however long that was about, those parts of my trip and just, not even being able to get any figures or anything. So let's move on to the second half and maybe the part that you guys are really more excited for anyway. So figures. The figures that I got while I was gone. So I had 2 figures come in to finish out the month of October. One is a, I guess, prize figure, and then the other is a scale. So let's go ahead and take a look at what came in. So first figure that I wanted to share with you guys is the prize figure. So this is, I'm not 100% sure how to say her name. I think it's like Suika. Suika. But she's the character from Dr. Stone, and this is her prize figure from Banpresto. I originally pre-ordered her from Crunchyroll like several months ago for $37.99, and that's not including the shipping because she was part of a larger order of pre-order stuff. She has gone down in price since she released, I noticed. So I'm kind of bummed about that. I think right now she's on Crunchyroll for like $24, $25. But I'm also not too upset about paying, the $37.99. So she's actually a prize figure that came with a lot of different pieces. So what I mean by that is right now, I have her with her little mask, I guess, on. Which is just one way you can display her. And I'll put B-roll up of all these other bits. So in addition to being able to wear the mask, you can take the mask off and kind of have it sitting on top of her head, which she does in the anime. And they also included a second faceplate of like a old shriveled up face for her, and it's been a little while since I've watched Dr. Stone, so like I don't exactly remember what that face was from, but another option you can display her with. And I haven't tried to put like the old face on her while she's wearing the mask as well. But I could imagine you could do that too if you really wanted to. So I thought that was really neat for essentially a prize figure that it came with the different options, two different face plates. You know, she has her mask, all of that she can wear. And then just in terms of the overall quality, so for prize figure, I think this is really really nice. She is a super. I think she's a super simple character. You know, not a ton of detail that had to go into her and her outfit. So it wasn't, I think, too hard to reproduce. But the way that they did it is really really good. They did a lot of folds and creases in her. I don't know what you would call this. Like her poncho, I guess is what these types of things are called. The painting's pretty good. It looks like there's a little bit of shading on there. Her underclothes, like her little tank top and shorts, pretty basic but well sculpted. Paint doesn't look too sloppy. Um, None of the paint really looks super sloppy, so that's really nice. There's a little bit of spillage in one of the eye holes of her mask, of like the green paint into some of the black, the like lines, this one eye hole. And then there is a scuff on there as well. I don't know where that came from. I don't remember if she already had that when I pulled her out of the box, or if maybe I've done something. Oops. But yeah, she's just a really cute little figure. I think her pose is really cute. Very playful. I think it really fits her character from what I remember since I've watched Doctor Stone, because like I said, it's been a while. It's been at least a couple years. But I'm really happy to have her. I think I mentioned when I was talking, maybe even in my October haul video, about the other Doctor Stone figure I recently got. Doctor Stone is like that very first anime that I was sort of able to get my boyfriend to watch with me and he was interested in. So it's really neat to pick up figures from that. At least to me, I think it's kind of special. I don't know what he thinks about it, but yeah, she's very, very cute. If you're a fan of Dr. Stone, especially if you're a fan of her character, I would pick this up. I don't know that there's many other figures for her out there right now. Um, so in some ways, this is kind of like your one chance to add her to your collection. And like I said, too, the price has gone down since I originally pre-ordered her by over $10, it seems, at least on Crunchyroll. So it might be a good time to look into picking her up. All right, so second figure, as I mentioned, is a scale. So this one, let me, oh gosh, grab her here. So this is the 1/7 Nico Hara Vanilla Chinese dress version by Good Smile Company. I pre-ordered her through Solaris, and she was $148.13 altogether with shipping, because she was one that just came in her own shipment. I do have the Chocola on order to go with her, but I had pre-ordered Chocola through Big Bad Toy Store, and with that being an American website, I am anticipating that to be still a month or two before she arrives. So for right now, just have Vanilla all on her lonesome, but I will be getting Chocolate to go with her, or I pre-ordered Chocolate to go with her, just basically waiting for her to be in stock and get here. So anyways, the figure itself, I mean, this is a gorgeous figure. It's just got so many little details and little bits and little pieces and just little things that really bring the whole outfit and the whole figure together. And even with all those little pieces, the paint job is like nearly perfect. Like so far I have not seen any really bad paint job, paint work. Like no spillage, no, outside the lines, nothing. So I am very, very impressed. Um, so she has, all the little flowers in her hair, along the dress, even down to her shoes. Just little flowers all over in pinks and purples and blues. The tiny, tiny ribbons on the side of her dress and the back of her dress. Just so well done. And, they do stress me out a little bit that they might break. Or they did stress me out when I was putting her together, but everything held on. She also has the tiny little bows, similar to the bows on her dress, little bows on her shoes, and her fingernails and toenails are painted in a shade of blue, very similar to the dress. So very well coordinated. Her hair is fantastic, even though, of course, Vanilla has white hair. There is some very kind of subtle shading in it, and the sculpt of it is so nice. The way it's draped over one arm, one wrist, and kind of wrapped around on the other one, and then the pattern of the dress that's like printed on here, with the flowers and the crowns and all of those. Just so well done, and the shading in the dress as well. I do really like the base as well. They gave her a very nice base that kind of looks like it has, kind of a tiled pattern to it. And she also comes with kind of this like plastic screen that you can put on the back, and this actually unattaches. It came unattached, and I literally just like 10 minutes before shooting this figured out how to put it on here, because people had been talking about you could connect it, and I had no idea how. But it has this little screen, but then you can also take the screen off and sort of set it on its own. So, just a gorgeous figure. And Vanilla is my favorite. Of the two girls, Chocolate and Vanilla. Vanilla is my favorite, so I'm very happy that she was the first one to arrive. Not that I'm not looking forward to having Chocolate, mind you, because I've heard very good things about how she turned out as well. And I'm just kind of disappointed that I pre-ordered her from an American shop, so it's taking longer. But just so well done. I mean, even the shading on this white bottom part of the dress, so it's not just like a white, like drapey blob. Like, there's beautiful, like, kind of blue tinted shading. And again, with the sculpt and the way that it's sculpted and all the folds and wrinkles and everything that went into it, like, guys, like, it's an amazing figure, and I am again just so happy to have her. I think this is one of my favorite figures of the like Nico Para Vanilla figures that I know about. This has to be one of my favorite figures of her, or if not the favorite of mine. The one negative I will mention, and this might just have been me, like, being an idiot. I don't know if anybody else had this problem. The way that Vanilla attaches to her base, she has a peg for her left foot, I believe it was. So she has a peg for her left foot, but then there are two pegs towards the back that her skirt, like, plugs into. And I had the hardest time, like, trying to line everything up and get everything together. And there were some points where I was like, I'm just gonna break this. I'm gonna break her leg off. I'm gonna break one of these little like tassels off. Um, anything. Thankfully, that was not the case. Nothing broke. Nothing got bent or whatever, and everything finally snapped into place. But I just had a really hard time. Um, and I haven't seen anybody else talking about having a hard time with that. So, like I said, I don't know if that was just me. I don't know if people just aren't talking about it. Like, I don't know. But maybe something to look out for if you pick her up. The base could be a little tricky. Um, but I would say this is a 10 out of 10. Maybe even one of my favorite figures I own now. Because again, Vanilla is my favorite from the series. I just love the style of dress. I love how it turned out. I love the quality, everything about it. Um, I would highly, highly recommend picking this one up, especially if you're a Nico Para fan, you're a Vanilla fan, maybe even if you're just a Cat Girl fan, like if you're not even sure what Nico Para is, definitely look into this. And I know Solaris can be a little bit more on the expensive side, but 148.13 with shipping included, and that was I believe I did EMS. So EMS shipping included in that price for 1/7 scale, I think is a really good deal. So if she's still available, I'm not sure if she still is or if now it's just aftermarket, having to look for people reselling her. If she's still available, I would highly, highly recommend picking this one up because she is awesome. Very, very good. Alright guys, well that is everything that I had to share with you about my vacation, about the figures that came in while I was on vacation, all of that. Thank you so much for watching. For those of you who sat through the first half and listened to me ramble about my vacation and just not being able to buy figures, you guys are the real ones. I super appreciate it. As always, though, like, subscribe, comment, all of that good stuff. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.